dailynews.com to get the local information you need to know.
It's so rewarding that we're taking what God gave us as natural resources, and then we produce then a product that consumers throughout the world can enjoy. Phil Borgic from Raymond, Illinois. We raise pigs from wean to market. We chose Farm Credit Illinois. I'm a dollars and cents guy, and they had the best program. And then since then, developing a relationship with the people involved with Farm Credit, we have changed and will continue to change our operation, our needs. So one of the things that Farm Credit has done for our operation is to tailor the loan to what our needs are. And the tools that Farm Credit brings to us allows us that flexibility to maximize our return. Farm Credit of Illinois helped us actually get back into the land market ownership and helped give me the confidence that this is the right thing to do for our operation.
Customize livestock loans and maximize return at farmcreditil.com/livestock.
Breathing problems can affect every aspect of your life. Breathe easier with Gibson Area Hospital Pulmonology Clinic and Dr. Ismail Bobat, now providing pulmonology health services to DeWitt County at Warner Hospital in Clinton. Dr. Bobat is an expert at identifying and treating pulmonology health conditions. Get the right diagnosis and treatment for your breathing problem with an experienced pulmonologist. For healthier breathing, book an appointment in Clinton today. Call 217-784-2212.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio, Reagan Tibbs, University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Reagan, good to see you, man. How you doing?
Good, Seth. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for coming over and talking with us. And we were catching up a little bit before we got started, and disease issues starting to creep in on corn and soybeans as we make our way through the growing season. What are you noticing, Reagan?
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting to that reproductive stage and definitely getting to that really critical stage. I mean, every point in the growing season is critical, but especially now we're starting to see, corn ears develop, soybean pods develop. We're starting to see some disease pressures, especially with our high temperatures and our high humidity the last couple of weeks. That's definitely putting some disease pressures on our fields.
So what are we seeing? Let's start with soybeans. What are we seeing there?
So in soybeans, I recently wrote a couple blog articles about some of the more common diseases we tend to see here in Illinois. One of those that we've actually seen some reports of lately from our researchers over on campus is red crown rot in soybeans. A lot of the diseases I talked about in these two blog posts are fungal diseases. So they generally, the spores will overwinter sometimes in our crop residue from previous seasons, and then will spread through either wind, rain, equipment, some other type of factor. And their favorable conditions, like I said, are these times when it's really hot and really humid. Boy, when have we heard that the last couple of days? But definitely red crown rot's one of those that I think it can be hard to diagnose because it has some symptoms that are very similar to some other diseases with soybeans. Some of the early symptoms are some yellowish spots that are between the leaf veins. They then develop necrosis, yes, which is when the tissue will actually start to die, but the leaf veins actually remain green. It's one of those interesting types of things. And so definitely, red crown rot's one of those that we're starting to see a lot more presence of this year, like I said, especially with our high humidity, especially with our high temperatures. Mm-hmm. But it also is similar to sudden death syndrome. And I think a lot of producers in this area have heard a lot about sudden death syndrome. And the symptoms actually are pretty similar and actually track pretty closely with each other. And again, caused by a fungus that can overwinter. And so definitely those two diseases we're seeing a lot of pressure of, and definitely causing a lot of stress on yields and a lot of important decisions for farmers to make.
Like what decisions are they having to make?
Well, the biggest decision is there a fungicide treatment, or is there something we can do to try to prevent the spread of those diseases? And unfortunately, with some of these, at this point in the growing stage, it's a little bit too late to try and treat them. Some of these you have to kind of get ahead of the problem way before the growing season even starts. So, for example, if we have some of our diseases which the spores can overwinter in, it's important to think about tillage and how we handle our cover that we leave after harvest. So whether that's pretty intensive tillage, or we try to do something to get rid of that favorable host for those spores to live on going in over winter. And there are some times when even like a treatment on the seeds can be a factor. So if we get a seed treatment that has the right genetics and has the right formulation, that can prevent the spread of the disease, or at least limit the impact the disease has. And like I said, crop genetics, even picking a variety of corn or soybean that can be resistant or have some type of protection against these diseases can also be an important step. And then also fungicide. We're seeing a lot of spray planes going out right now, spray drones, just field sprayers in general. Those foliar fungicides can work, but in some of these diseases, it's a pretty limited response that we see. And so at that point in time, it may not be really effective to apply a foliar fungicide, especially at this late in the growing stage, and for diseases that it really doesn't do much against.
Yeah. You mentioned the spread of this, let's say it's isolated to one little pocket of the field. Is it going to spread? How do we prevent that spread?
It can. Some of these diseases spread, like I said, through wind or through rain. The spores can just get washed out, moved to different parts of the field. They can even attach to equipment. There's even evidence of that with some of our diseases. And so, like I said, trying to limit that favorable host as much as possible. So whether that's, I said, through a little more intensive tillage or handling our crop residue a little bit more effectively, even crop rotation. There are some of these diseases that crop rotation is even the best practice, trying to limit that. Moving out of crops that are usually a favorable host for it. So instead of doing continuous corn or continuous soybeans, rotating in additional crops that are not hosts to that disease can really be an effective practice to limit its effects.
Gotcha. So it's more kind of preventative before you put the crop in the ground, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of decisions that can really impact our growing season, our yields, are made kind of before the seed even goes into the ground. So definitely considering what genetics are we putting in with our seed? Are we picking, are we preferring something that's a little more drought resistance, or we're picking things that are disease resistance? Is there a genetic line that kind of merges those two and puts them really in a similar package? And then, like I said, are we making our chemical decisions? Are we picking foliar fungicides that we can apply a little bit earlier in the season to try and add a little bit extra defense to that? But definitely a lot of those decisions before the growing season are really going to help prevent the impact of these diseases.
Can you just take those the crops, like if it's manageable, can you just take those out of the ground and just work with everything else in the field?
I've not seen that done before. I'm sure people have tried it, but I've not seen that.
Okay, I didn't know if that was a thing. And
I mean, like I said, I'm not saying it couldn't be done, but especially if we're seeing it in a widespread case across the field, that really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
How widespread is this that you're noticing?
It depends on the field. There are some fields I've seen where, there's, like you said, kind of more isolated spots of the field, especially where the disease has been prevalent in the past. But there are some fields where it can be across the entire field. So it's really variable field by field.
Gotcha. Reagan Tibbs, University of Illinois Extension, our guest in studio today. How about the corn? What are you noticing there, Reagan?
Yeah, corn, we're starting to see some diseases as well. Obviously, one that has kind of dominated attention in the last couple of years, but is relatively new for us, is tar spot. I think last year when you and I first started talking, I mentioned tar spot. Tar spot is one of those, like I said, it's been very common in South America. And then it's made its way up here to the Midwest into the United States. We don't know a whole lot about how it got up here. But nevertheless, it's here. We got to deal with it. Unfortunately, tar spot is one of those that when you see it, and if it's in a very severe sort of infection, it can cause some very significant yield losses. I think I've seen some studies out of Purdue that have estimated that it could be up to 50 to 60% if we're considered a severe infection of tar spot. So that's definitely one that has been on a lot of producers' minds, on a lot of chemical companies. A lot of these companies that are making those chemicals and those fungicides to deal with these diseases has really been looking at. We could also talk about northern corn leaf blight and also gray leaf spot. Again, diseases that really like these hot, these humid temperatures and these conditions that we have, especially if they're prolonged, like they are during the last couple of days we've had. They really, really, really love those. And so whenever we get those type of conditions, plus we have the favorable host, these diseases start to become more prevalent.
And how quickly do they become prevalent?
It just depends. It depends on how long those favorable conditions are present. Some of these only need a few hours to really get going and really start to show their impact. Some of these, I believe, with northern corn leaf blight, it usually needs about 12 hours to really become infected and really start to show the symptoms.
Wow.
So it really just kind of depends.
It's quick, though.
Yeah, definitely very quick. And it's really important. And one of the reasons I wrote these two blogs was to highlight the importance of scouting. Because if we're not going out there and looking in the field and seeing what's going on, and we might just see, maybe there's one plant we see from the road that, maybe that one's got it. Maybe I need to make a decision to apply foliar fungicide to do something different across the entire field. we have to get out in our fields and we have to see what's going on in order to really understand what types of decisions we need to make in order to really combat these diseases.
Are these treatable in the corn?
They can be. Tar spot's one of those that you have to get ahead of a little bit. And generally some of these other diseases too, the leaves that are infected tend to be below the ears. And so when that's the case, there's some less significant yield impacts, but there still can be, especially if the infection is pretty significant.
Yeah. Some pollinating issues, it sounds like, in some cornfields this summer as well. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I've seen on social media, and I believe Purdue has reported this. Iowa State has reported this too, something called tassel wrapping. And that may not sound very intuitive what it means, but essentially when we have our corn plant at the very top, the tassel usually just kind of hangs there free flowing. And then there's usually the flag leaf, the leaf that's at the very top of the corn plant. Well, what we've seen and what I've seen some pictures of and some other reports of is that flag leaf will actually wrap around the tassel and prevent the pollen from the tassel of actually falling down into the silks and starting that pollination process. And that can have some pretty severe impacts, especially as we're getting into this stage where we're at silking and we're at the beginning of the reproductive phase, if not a little bit far into it. If that pollen can't get down to the corn silks, we're going to start noticing some issues with ear development. And so definitely tassel wrapping. Like I said, I don't remember seeing a lot about it last year, but definitely this year we're starting to see a lot more of it. And one of the things that really causes that is heat and humidity. When you have really high temperatures, plants tend to kind of go into a defensive mode, right? They want to protect themselves. They want to conserve water as much as possible. And so that's one of their protection measures. When it happens at this point in the growing stage, we can really see some impact.
Yeah, sure. How much can scouting help in, recognizing this? I mean, if there's not much you can do about it, how much good is scouting going to do in this?
I mean, at least scouting, you can at least know that it's out there and know what's going on. And that can be some, you can start doing that with a drone or doing it by foot. One of the scouting practices that I've seen and was taught a lot about when I was kind of going through college was kind of using your drone to get kind of a large picture of the field, see where things are at. And if you start to notice some issues in certain areas, maybe that's the area you really highlight, you really go in and take a deep look at, but definitely going out and walking through the field. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because when you start walking out there, you'll start to see some things that you may not be able to see from a drone or just see as you're driving by or in the first couple rows. Going out deep into the field as far as possible, that's the best way to really diagnose these issues.
Gotcha. How much is drone scouting becoming prevalent in ag today?
I think it's become really prevalent. And I think it already is pretty prevalent. We're seeing the popularity of using drones to take pictures, and then we can use that I have a colleague, his name's Dennis Bowman. He's our digital ag specialist, and he's shown off with his drones. He can take a picture of a field and then use that to estimate if there are skips or there are plants that didn't emerge, and use that to estimate what our yield loss is just from those areas of the field that didn't have plants that grew very well or just had planter skips or whatnot. So drone imaging with drones has become already very popular. We're starting to see more and more spray drones now as well. So definitely using drones and other technologies like that have really become important in this fight against diseases.
For sure. Well, Reagan, I look at the clock. It's time for a break. You mentioned you've written some blogs about disease in the corn and soybeans over the summer. Where do folks find that? How do they get those?
Yeah, my blog is called Farm Focus. You can find our website, extension.illinois.edu/LMS.
Farm Focus. I like that name. You got to market that. That's pretty good.
Hey, what can I say?
Very good. Again, Reagan Tibbs. He is with the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, Sangamon counties. My guest in studio. More to come with Reagan on the morning show.
WHOW.
Is the summer heat getting to you? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City, inviting you to cool down in a new Chevy. We have cool new crossovers like the Chevy Equinox or hot new trucks like the Chevy Silverado 1500, which has up to $7,500 in extra savings over our regular discounts. See all our inventory and prices online. And don't forget, we need and would love to trade yours in. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
Finding a local job in Central Illinois has never been easier. Don't waste time driving far or spending too much on gas. Visit IllinoisJobPost.com. It's your one-stop site to find local, full-time, and part-time job openings. Best of all, it's completely free for job seekers to access anytime, day or night. So if you're ready to land a job close to home, make IllinoisJobPost.com your first stop. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. Brought to you by your friends at the regional radio stations.
This tip of the hat for all the awards the area 4-Hers won at this year's fairs comes from the Macon County Farm Bureau, located at 1155 West Pershing Road in Decatur. It's a year's worth of work, but the accomplishments and awards you've earned make it worth it. Congratulations to our local 4-Hers for their awards at this year's fair from the Macon County Farm Bureau, located at 1150 West Pershing Road in Decatur, where membership means value.
CEO Paul Scourin here from Warner Hospital and Health Services in Clinton. Call our family medicine clinic now to get your children's school physicals scheduled. We're accepting new patients of all ages. More info by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio this morning, Reagan Tibbs, University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Nard, and Sangamon counties. My guest. And Reagan, as we chat, Logan County Fair kicks off, Saturday, Sunday?
Sunday's the first official day, but then 4-H will start on Monday.
On Monday, sure. So anything from your side of things on the fair? You getting involved in that much, or?
Well, I mean, Logan County Fair is something I've gone to for basically my entire life, and my family's been really involved in the fair for much of our lives as well. And so definitely feel a really deep connection with Logan County Fair. In my position, I don't have direct responsibilities with the fair, but I just like to help out as much as possible. So whether that's helping out with our general show on Monday, with our livestock check-ins, being at the livestock shows, just to help, and not only help our staff, but also interact with those producers as well. People I've known for basically my entire life, just getting out there and connecting with them and just letting them know the resources that I offer and provide through Extension.
As you speak about getting out and talking with folks, what are you hearing from producers, whether it's Logan, Menard, or Sangamon counties right now, Reagan? How are folks doing, producers doing over that way?
Producers are doing pretty well. Obviously, rain was a big concern last week until we got our pretty significant rainstorm. That helped out a lot, especially in Logan County. I think parts of the county got over 3 inches of rain.
I saw that,
which was really, really needed. Some other parts didn't get as much, but still, any type of rain at this point helps. And so definitely things are going pretty well. Just a lot of external factors that are putting some pressure and causing a lot of uncertainty that, to a certain degree, it's outside of our control.
Is that economical and
economic policy, you name it? A lot of that stuff, like I said, things that are going on outside of the realm of production that we just don't really have a lot of control over.
Gotcha. Well, let's dive into, I know you recently took a trip out to Montana and got to see the rolling hills and the mountains of Montana. Absolutely. How was that experience for you?
Absolutely. It was a wonderful experience. It was the National Association of County Agricultural Agents, their annual meeting and professional improvement conference, or AMPIC as we call it. It was at the end of June, and it was a phenomenal experience. That's my first time being out to Montana. The weather was phenomenal. I think I told you this. When I got off the plane in Montana, there was a welcoming table of some folks from Montana Extension, and they were complaining that it was hot. It was 80 degrees with no humidity. And I think that day when I left Illinois, it was like in the 90s with high humidity. And I was like, bless your hearts. But definitely, Montana was a phenomenal experience. Got to learn a lot of great stuff, connect with different ag educators from across the country. That's the thing with the conference like that is I think they had somebody there from every single state and territory in the United States. Like, it was an amazing experience. Billings was a phenomenal town. It's about the size of Springfield. So it's their largest town in Montana. And there were about 1,400 people there for this conference. So we were definitely taking over the town for that week while we were there.
What'd you learn? What'd you come away with?
Definitely a lot of things. One of those is that Farm Business Foundations program I did back in June. I got to sit through a presentation from an ag educator up in Minnesota. He did a very similar program over the last couple years, and so got to interact with him, learn about how he did his program differently, things that I could come bring back when I redo that program later on. Just some different things like that. Also, just getting to meet different ag educators from across the country and seeing how, while we may be hundreds of miles apart from each other, the problems and the things that our producers are seeing are actually really connected and really similar.
Like what?
Like I said, a lot of the external things in our crop producers, obviously we talk a lot with our fellow ag educators in the Midwest, but just talking to some of our colleagues from a little more out west, and even out east too, because there's still crop production in the east, and even into the south. There are a lot of ag educators from the south, and so hearing how they deal with things related to cotton, peanuts, rice, it's really interesting to hear that as well.
Reagan, as we wrap up here for this morning, I know we're coming up quickly on Farm Progress.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, what are you looking forward to about Farm Progress?
This will be my first time I've been at Farm Progress in quite a while, and so just looking to be out there and see what producers are hearing, see all the different things that are being rolled out and introduced. There's always something new at Farm Progress Show every year, and so really happy to be a part of Extension and be there to offer what Extension is going to do at Farm Progress Show.
Any rumblings on what's going to be new that you're looking forward to?
I've not heard many. I'm sure there are some out there, but I've not heard many. But like I said, sometimes it's part of the surprise, just going out there and just seeing what's there. You could definitely spend a few days at Farm Progress Show just seeing all the new stuff.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good time. You been to Boone, by the way? Have you been?
I've not been out to the one in Boone. The last time I went to Farm Progress Show, I was in high school. And that's before it started going back and forth between Iowa and Illinois.
Oh, okay.
And so
it's been a minute since you've been.
It has been a minute. So like I said, I'm really excited to be back and really excited it's back in Decatur to where Illinois Extension can really show all the stuff that we offer.
Does Extension, do you have to spend a few days out there? Or
yeah, we're gonna have a tent out there that day along with the university itself, just showing off the different work that we do across all of our different disciplines.
Gotcha. Very good. Well, we'll see you out there. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, definitely. A couple of minutes yet still here with you, Reagan. Any programs, anything on the calendar for producers yourself to look forward to? I know growing season, and then we'll get into the harvest. That'll keep you busy. But anything coming up you want to highlight?
Yeah, I know a lot of us are working on doing the agronomy summits again this upcoming year. I think February is when those are going to start up across the state. So we're going to have 9 locations this year. Last year we only had about 6, so we're expanding it to 9. We're expanding to a lot of different locations across the state. I'll be having one in Springfield, February. It's the day after President's Day in February. So I don't remember what day that is. I just know it's the day after President's Day.
Okay.
So
Were you going out to Greater Peoria Farm Show this December, November?
Probably, yeah. I'll probably be there. I know we had a presence there last year, and I'll probably be back up there again this year.
That was relatively new, right? You being at Farm Show?
For Extension or for myself?
For Extension.
Yeah, I know it's something we've done the last couple of years, and so we really like having that presence there and offering, again, just showing off what all we do through Extension and what services we offer.
Sure. Well, Reagan, you mentioned a couple of blog posts on some disease pressure issues in corn and soybeans here. Well, again, how do folks find that and find you and all those musings of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on Facebook with University of Illinois Extension and Logan Sangamon counties, and we have our website, extension.illinois.edu/LMS.
Sure. Just search for your name or...
Yep, absolutely. Or even just search Logan County, Menard County, or Sangamon County Extension, and you'll find us.
All right, easy enough. Well, Reagan, always good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me, Seth.
Absolutely. Reagan Tibbs, University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties, my guest in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Of course, we stream live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way now.